Hello, guys. Hello. This is Spirit Journey, and yes, today is Hello Friday. Yes, it's still Friday because it's not midnight yet. Yeah, it's like a quarter to midnight. And yeah, I decided to do another Hello Friday, and I want to look. I'm in bed right now. My little doggies out there on the bed sleeping. The little boy, he's in his crate. That's his little cave that he likes to go in. But my girls are smart. They like to stay with mommy on on the bed. Well, I had an interesting day, and I hope you guys had an interesting day too. My mind is like racing, and I think during this video, this live stream, is just to unwind before I go to sleep. Yes, hello out there. Yes, today is the Hello Friday, and I hope you're enjoying your Friday. Yes. What I want to talk about today, yeah, I had a productive day. I got I got the essentials done. I had to go to the bank and get some documents, and yeah, so I was organized. I got up and so what essentials I had to do. When I do the essentials, it's like a load off your back. I like that. I like a load off my back because I can get um, little distracted, to say it nicely. So I said, okay, I can't do everything, but hey, what should I do? You know what? So I got up. Actually, I got up. Oh, what was that? I woke up. I think at 3:30 in the morning, and what else? I had a very bizarre dream, and yeah, I had a bizarre dream that someone that I know. It's weird. Like something when you dream, you might dream of situation of people who are trying to pretend they're somebody else. And that's what my dream was, that someone who I knew disguised themselves to look like somebody else. And then, what else? And then it manifested, you know. So the person did that to get close to me. But see, when people in real life try to do that, be what they're not, it eventually will pop up, you know. And what's interesting about that is it made me feel heavy-hearted when I woke up, a sadness. But it's something though. It's really something. So sometimes things. It's like it's like some things you just can't avoid. That some things in the natural, in real life, is something like that. People who try to get into your life, but they're really not good for you. But they're determined to weasel in somehow, and that's what it's like in my case. And it manifested in this dream that I had. But when I woke up, I I said, boy, I don't want this person in my life. But I said to myself, that they that they find someone else, you know, and not to leech off of my energy, and that they could, in the spiritual sense, go elsewhere, and go back to the Creator, and where there's unconditional love, and it was something. I hope I'm not mixing two stories together, but sometimes, you know, that when that attachment happens, you have to, nip it in the bud, and rather than staying angry and want to curse them out, whatever, to use kind words, be firm and say, you're not welcome here, but go back to, you know, don't think that you need me. You need, to build yourself up in a positive way, and attach yourself to the creator, blah blah blah. So that's what I said, and it was to really put put me at ease, because I didn't want me to feel like I was get you don't want to get angry, because it can consume you. Yes, definitely. So that's what happened this morning, early in the morning, and then what else? Yeah, I had to find out what I had to do with banking situation, and so I got all the copies that I needed, and it was relatively quick. And then what else? Yeah, kind of try to fix up my place a little bit, and then this is the interesting part. What I did, well, early this morning, I talked to a what do you call it? A spiritualist slash medium, um, sensitive, whatever you want to call it. And it was a good session. I never used this individual before, and I just went with it. It's, I guess sometimes things could be seem a little skeptical. Um, I felt I felt that I needed to talk to a person like that, and the reason why, um, I think my thoughts, I had a lot of questions, and again, as this, yes, hello there, hello, viewer. Yes, I hope you're enjoying your Friday. It's still Friday, Friday night. Yeah, yeah. I'm just saying what I did for the day, and uh, this morning I talked to a spiritual advisor. We had a 2 hour session, and she was very generous with the time. So I commend her for that generosity. And what why I'm sharing this is because sometimes you could in the natural try to find answers, and sometimes talking to a third party, someone who doesn't know you, they may have they might kind of like put you at ease. I had a whole slew of questions. When you talk to a spiritual advisor slash medium slash sensitive, whatever what you want to call them, to have, have make notes, or what you call, have your questions. So that's right. That's the other reason why I got up early this morning. After I woke up from dreaming, and then I prayed a little bit, and then I said, oh, if I want to talk to that advisor, I better reorganize those questions. So I rewrote the questions out so it's more legible, and to try to group similar questions together so it can kind of flow. Yeah, I had one full page, front and back, and then a second page. All college rule um, paper, and we got one side of the paper and then half of the back. So, but I think I got the essentials. And what was interesting about this session? I feel like I was just really pouring out how I felt. I just needed some questions answered. And some of the questions I had was, of course, regarding early childhood traumas. And I think she was sensitive. I think also I wanted to talk to someone I thought would be sensitive, someone that you could really ask certain questions and you won't feel judged, whatever. And interesting, she said something that was really interesting to me. Um, see, all this is really new to me, and I share it as part of my spiritual journey, because I would have thought things like this maybe 2 years ago was taboo. And sometimes you got to break out of that box. See, I want to expand, and if I keep the same paradigm, the same way of thinking, you're going to get the same outcome, nothing. So, but again, you have to use wisdom, and there is some risk involved with anything new, you know. But some of the things you talked about, I guess you would, people would call it paranormal type of activity. Um, those things that are those things that are discussed that's um, people don't want to discuss, and just really small circles of society want to talk about things like this. We were talking about in the spiritual realm, and about, I guess, in the Christian circle they would call it demons, and then in the more modern um, conspiracy type theory, they might say extraterrestrial type of things. And I asked her about things that happened to me in my childhood, and the person mentioned about that something of uh, what she called the grays, and this, she said that, like, I told her that I used to feel like, someone grabbing me when I was like asleep, and I feel someone grabbing at my ankles and yanking. And according to her, she said that when I was explaining what was happening to me, that what she saw in her third eye was this, we call gray being, the tall ones, and she never saw that species of grays, and that was it. It 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 was gray, and I think it had spots, she said, on them, and it had red eyes. She said she's never seen anything like that. So I posed the question to you: have any of you ever heard of grays that have that description? A tall gray with red eyes and has spots or something on them. Well, she said that that being was harassing me growing up, and that this, let's see, this this gray, they said sometimes things like that could attach itself. They said, like, according to, let's say, your, what some people believe in past lives, and I think she said about the past life, that that it, your energy frequency, that they're attracted to certain, at times, certain energy frequencies, and that it, it was something from a far past, and when it recognized my energy frequency, that it attached itself. I forget at what time, what age that it attached itself. But what I thought was interesting, how it could influence the people in your life, and that she was saying that it influenced certain people to do certain things. And as I've mentioned in past videos and in my live streams, stream videos, that, you know, some families, they have uh, people are molested, and that sometimes people who do things like that to family members, or who knows, or outside of the home, that they may have these spiritual, whether you call it a demon or um, extraterrestrial, whatever, and they could influence people's behavior. And I think it 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 kind of meshed well with. I mean, when she said that, it seemed to fit the reasoning, you know. And I know I asked her what the origins of it, you know. Again, she suggested things in the past, and that my association energetically with what she says Egypt, and that I remember her saying that she had seen that me in this ancient Egyptian. It sounds like hogwash, doesn't it? But this is what she was saying. But that I had given an offer, I had an unauthorized offering done, and it violated the altar, and that it's energetically is it pissed off someone, and I guess what they call karma, retribution for my actions, and so she suggested to apologize. So I did that, you know, and she also mentioned something like with I mentioned to her certain dreams that I have that I had in the past, and she was telling me something about like I had a pain in the my right side years ago. It occurred in the military, and it first occurred in the military, and then she was saying that she saw that. Oh, also have to add that I had a dream that these beings, they look like they looked like white people to me, but they were foreign looking to me. They were tall whites, and they had this narrow, um, wearing white lab coats, and they were doing some procedure on my stomach, and it felt uncomfortable. And that's the side that I have the pain. And then she said, that what she saw in her mind's eye, that something about black goo and this white goo, and that they were actually trying to help me and not trying to hurt me. They saw that it was going to rupture or something, so they were doing some type of procedure. And so I thought that was interesting. And she said, well, what was interesting about this reading, she said, like, um, like for this instance, with the discomfort that I have to get a cleansing, and she had me ask for the cleansing, like to be a part of it, rather than just having her say, do the, whatever what she would say. She had me verbalize about the cleansing in the process, the healing process. That was very unique. I never experienced that with an advisor at all. So I did it several times with certain issues that we discuss, regarding my health, and um, I I felt I felt emotionally um, lifted after the reading. Actually, um, would I do it again? Um, I think I might, because I do have the other questions, and because I feel like a block that's happening in my life, and um, something like some things you cannot really get in a book. Like some things, I just feel that something external, and again, you have to use discernment, and not everything that someone says you have to agree with or even believe. So, but I think the main thing for me at this time is, how do you feel? How does something make you feel? So, just like you can have someone who could tell you the truth about everything, but how are you left feeling? And does it do anything to improve your situation? You know? Um, so that's how I take it. And so, yeah, I I'm looking for answers to a lot of things. It seems like the more um, videos I watch, more things, well, the YouTube videos on different subject matters, um, like the about what this world is all about. What is this society all about? I really start to ask myself, and the more I'm in this spirit journey, the more things don't make sense. And all of us, we're all in the same boat. And one minute you might feel like someone is your enemy, and why so and so's doing this or that, why is the world doing what it's doing. But I see that we're all bouncing off of each other. And so I guess I share that to you because um, on your own spiritual journey, you may feel like family members or relatives or neighbors or people from work that you might butt heads and pointing fingers. But at the same time, you start to say to yourself, they're in the same boat as I am. And I think really we're all under the same umbrella. We're all under this global this dome on this planet. We're all underneath this canopy, and because we're under the same canopy, we're all prone to the same type of weaknesses, and that's really something. That's what's happening. It's like going back and forth, back and forth. Um, that like you read the headlines in the newspaper. Like I had to go to a store today. I just wanted to get um, some snacks to eat for my movie watching today at home, and I see in the front page headlines that a teacher asked. I don't remember the exact headline, but a teacher had asked the black students to lie on the ground or something and imagine that you were a slave or what it's like to be a slave, something like that. Now, I think headlines like that is really to bait individuals, to bait a demographics, and the newspapers, they know that that's a trigger for a lot of blacks. And headlines like that really doesn't bother me. It because in this spiritual journey that I'm doing, like, because I could see through them, and that I think maybe most demographics historically were um, oppressed by someone, but they want you to believe that only black people are slaves. Not at all. In fact, before the what they call the transatlantic slave trade, there was a slave trade with what they call Slavic people, Slavic nations of Europe, and they were the slaves. Like how you think of only black people as slaves, well, at that time, Slavics were the group of who were slaves. And in 20 this is 2018, you have slavery going on right now. A slave is not someone that has those shackles and stuff. You don't need shackles. You can hold someone ransom. You say, hey, I want you to do X, Y, and Z. And if you don't do X, Y, and Z, we're going to um, kill grandma. We're going to hurt your dog. We'll burn down your house. See the different types of control that people have, or it could be blackmail. Slavery, in essence, is to not have your own will, but to have the will of somebody else upon you. That's what slavery is. That's someone else's will you have to fulfill. So in the process, you might die, get sick, and then to get somebody else to fulfill that other person's need. And it's also about control. And I see that's what's happening in the world today, that you have people who want to control others. So don't get all excited about, I mean, we have to start looking at perspective correctly, that you're going to see headlines. Don't get baited with a headline. And a lot of these headlines, these sensationalized headlines, is to press people's buttons. And so, the race card with black people in America, the first ones to go on the bandwagon and want to riot and burn down their own neighborhood, but then they don't want to throw out the lousy teachers and stuff like that, and the drugs on the street. They seem to like that. I know that's saying that may not sound nice, but you know what I'm getting at. We get excited with, someone saying something, but when someone is really messing you over, messing up your community with violence, murder, things like that, that's what you get ugly about. Not someone having a student, to demonstrate something, to make a point, whatever. No, we're all slaves. That's what I see now. Each one of us are slaves. We might be enslaved by our spouses. We might be enslaved by, addictions. That's a form of slavery. When it controls you, that's slavery. Yeah, all things like that. Or look at myself. I love my apartment and everything, but you have people who want to feel, what make you feel like you're beneath them because of their mindset. You have people who just, the perception of someone being of a certain status, that they could treat people a certain way. So it's telling me, and you know who really gets off on things like that? People who come from oppressed backgrounds. See, that's the real stronghold about oppression. There's always someone oppressed. So oppressed person A, and then you have this other oppressed person who's both oppressed, but this one has a little bit more seniority, whatever. So they crush that one, and then someone's has seniority over this one. They go on top of that one, and so on and so on. And rather than saying to themselves, we're all of gobbling up each other, and in the end, there'll be no one standing that's alive. We have to stop swallowing each other up. We're all being manipulated. And that's what I'm seeing. We're all manipulated. And it's fear. We're all motivated by fear. I know I am. Fear is an awful thing to have. I mean, sometimes fear can motivate you to make a change, but sometimes fear could cripple you, you know. So, yeah, I think things are going, things are going to really start manifesting in this country. Manifesting things that you haven't seen are going to manifest, I think. You're going to start seeing things. You're going to hear more things. But I just say, whatever will be, will be. And I hope whatever what it is that will be manifesting, that we stay centered, because it's all part of the game. And if this so-called reincarnation is real, learn the most out of this situation. Learn what you're going through. Try to understand what's going on and the lesson to learn from whatever what you are exposed to. Um, and with that done, you did your best. You did your best, and hope that with the next time around, that, well, I tell myself now. I say, this world system stinks. It's all the same, whether you live in the tropics, or in the nice, mountains, whatever. It's all basically the same because we're all being influenced by the same type of thing. So that's all I can say. It's gonna hit. It's gonna hit, and if something you just can't run away from, and that's how I was. Excuse me. That's how I was feeling earlier. That, where could you run to? You know, I'm tired about this fear, this money control. That it's a system, as I said before, my other live stream, that it's not a natural system. This money system slash civilization. Civilization introduced this monetary system as we know it, and civilization is not, as I said, it's not an earthly natural system. It is extraterrestrial, and it's a form of control, mind control. It's a fear tactic, and it's not even real. And so I think somehow, and I want to stress this, somehow, to try to, you know pray about money, how to break out of the money matrix. It is real. It is a it's like has a life in itself. Money has a lot of power, and it's just excuse me, and it's just paper. you know um, I bet if a $100 bill falls on poo poo, they'll pick it up. Yes, they would. It's not it has that much power, and how people will fight for it. And that reminds me of a movie that I just finished watching. It was called American, what was that? American Made, and it starred um, Tom Cruise. I really enjoyed the movie. It was a retro piece that occurred in the late 70s, early 80s. It's with the, what's that, Iran Contra conflict. They were supplying guns to this fighting group in Central America to fight communism, and then they also had a drug smuggling ring. It was very interesting. It they were good acting. It was fast paced. Some would say it was long, but I like long movies. It had a lot of content to it. What I got out of that movie is, again, you had fear, and the fear initially started with this pilot who was smuggling cigars. I presume they got it from Cuba, and they brought cigars to the U.S. and he was being watched by this CIA person who was pretty much doing things that he wasn't supposed to. You know that even within the CIA they have different levels of activity, and some of that activity, that maybe other people may not know about, and at least that's how I took it. And in essence, he was being blackmailed. Um, that either you do what the government tells you to do, or you get thrown in jail for bringing in cigars, illegal cigars. But I asked myself, you have cigar. I don't smoke anything like that, but something as like tobacco, because it's coming from a particular country. I asked myself, just for the product itself, to throw someone in jail because of cigars, but you have what do you call it, pharmaceuticals who have drugs that kill people, that kills your liver, your kidneys, that might cause cancer, birth defects, and they're not being put in jail. So here you have tobacco, not the tobacco that's treated with these chemicals, but just the pure tobacco itself. It's a natural product, but yet because it comes from a excuse me, a particular place, it becomes vilified. And why this vilification? Um, well, the nation that it comes from is communist. Okay. Now, wasn't the communists in World War II fighting with the Americans to overthrow the evil Nazis? Okay. But after the war, they become vilified, and because Cuba had decided to go communist, or, well, I should say the communists took over, now they're the bad guy. But you have China, and you can get goods from China, and they sell it in the US, but it's not illegal. Isn't that something? So you can get cigars from other parts of the world, but and you can get stuff from communist China. You even have exchange students, and I think there's there's a consulate here. The Chinese consulate is right here in United States. I don't know about Russia, but isn't that something? So you start to wonder what's really what's criminality. You can vilify anything. You can vilify getting a cotton dress because it comes from a particular place. Um, so what's it all about? And who really benefits by it? And again, I'm pretty sure people are still smuggling in cigars, you know. Or look at alcohol. It used to be illegal to have alcohol. The what do you call it? The prohibition, they called it. So people were making their own brew at home, and then people's homes were being raided and the alcohol being destroyed and everything. So it's almost like it's weird. People drink alcohol all over the world. And again, hear how you have a substance that's being vilified. And again, I'm not promoting people to become careless with alcohol and become alcoholics. I'm not promoting that. Some people should never drink because they cannot, um, it, they become addicted. And that's the dangers of that type of thing. Um, but it's just really something how human behavior becomes affected when you start to say something is good, something is bad, this nationality is good, that nationality is bad, or this gang is good and that one's bad. This school, let's say what school you go to, a good school, bad school, and so then you have that tension between the two. So it's nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense at all. But again, getting back to the movie, like it was a good movie, and again, the initial problem was about the bringing in the cigars, and then he gets blackmailed, coerced to do activity for the government, and how each time he gets involved in something, it's like a counterattack, and then they pretty much tell him the same thing that this other country, and they said, well, if you don't, he had no choice. You do this or else, and they would have shot him on the spot. And then each time, the betrayals between the groups and the government, um, in essence, setting him up. And it's like, oh, we're innocent, but leave the other guy hanging. So it was it's pathetic, and so it just talked about human nature and how human nature um, just it's just has a disease to it, and it can happen to anybody. And this fear of money, this fear. I mean, the money itself. Okay, like with the cigars that I mentioned first, it's about money. Someone uh, in exchange, and this money, and it's the generation of money is what's wanted, you know, and it's but what's the outcome though? So and that's also what it showed in the movie. He this guy was becoming so rich, he couldn't, like he would get, like with every job he did, he'll get a portion of it, but he couldn't hide the money. He literally had to try to hide his money. So he dug holes in the ground on his property. He stuffed the money everywhere. He couldn't hide it anymore. Excuse me. And so you start to say, what is money? You could. I mean, you can't spend it all in one shot. And again, you cannot put more than X amount of money in the bank at one time. One time. I mean, and if you do, you have to. It'll be flagged. Yep. You put in X amount of money. If it's over a certain amount, that the banks are required to notify an agency, and so they're gonna try to find out, oh, where did you get the money? I mean, if it's honest gain money, it's honest gain money, but I guess because it's a certain amount, um, they have to investigate. So again, it's fear. So even doing some illegal activity like that, you're always looking over your shoulder, and you can't spend it. You cannot spend it all. And if you start giving it away, and then people start spending the money, and then other people are going to wonder, hey, where's so and so getting the money? So that's what was happening too. People started noticing, well, so it was a poor community, and then you have people with these fancy cars. You say, where are the people getting the money? So eventually, it will collapse, and that's what was evident about this movie. It was a a collapse in each level. No one got away. No one got away. Even the government got in trouble, and they had their fall guy too. I forget his name. The guy, he was some officer in the military. Um, but yeah, something you just can't run away from. And again, the illusion of money. And even with that, like the illusion of money, something I think about, what would I do if I got large sum of money? I was saying to myself, I would love a nice property, a a beautiful earthy house, um, a nice yard for my little dogs to run. I would love a courtyard, yeah, and I like some an area where, like a meditation room, like like a like something that no roof over their head, like a little, it has walls, but like you can see the sky above you, and yeah, you can look up at the sky and just mellow out. Um, yeah, I like things like that. Um, I want to be closer to nature. That's what I like. And what else? Mm, yeah, I would like that. Um, so yeah, dreams are nice to have, but even still, like you sometimes you might think you want certain things, and when you have it, you really don't want it anymore. It loses its power, and that's also what I see. That even when you have this craving for things, um, initially you feel great with it, but after a while you become desensitized or immune to it, and it doesn't mean the same thing. Um, but yeah, I like the idea of I want something that I could say is mine. Um, yeah, I like that. I like the idea of saying this is my property, and I don't have property. I'm a renter, but everyone else, um, relatives that have their own property, and so sometimes my ego gets the best of me. But with being a homeowner, there's new responsibilities. Again, I told you about, um, when you have property, you have to pay tax, and you have school tax. I told you about a relative of mine who sh they're not able to sell the the school tax on the property got so expensive. The person doesn't have children, but you have to pay for the school tax, and no one is no one wants to buy the house from this person. They're stuck with it, and the interest, a lot. It's just it's a bondage, and this person didn't know that. I mean, this person was tries to be very careful, but we're not perfect, and sometimes we might overlook certain things, and that's what happened. And so your blessing could turn into a curse. Yeah, big time. A big, big curse. So that kind of holds me back from wanting a property of my own. Because here, this person had their house built from scratch in cash. And, it was to be their dream house. I mean, they have another property, um, but this was to be a little getaway place. And it's a curse. And, also with the property, you have to keep it up. You have to do the repairs. You want a nice lawn. And when you get older, you don't want to be pushing on that lawnmower. Your body changes as you get older, and it everything you have, you need money to maintain it. You have communities where people buy houses cheap, relatively cheap, because the people in that neighborhood want to leave real quick for whatever reason. And then you get buyers who really, new buyers, and but they don't have money to maintain it. So after the while, this used to, a community used to be, let's say, a nice middle class, and then it goes Povertyville overnight, and the value of the property goes down, and so um, what are you left with? You lose a lot of money. So it's really weird how life works, that your your blessing could turn into a curse. So I see that reality. So that part of that is like saying, wow, is this something realistic? And again, if you live alone, you know you some places may not be as safe to live alone, and so you have to get security. You have to have an alarm system and everything. So you don't so you don't want to feel like you have to live in fear and looking over your shoulder. You know, um, yeah, it is what it is. It is. Let's see what else. Yeah, so I saw that movie, and I'm sorry. Yeah, it was just an eye opener. It really it shows about human nature and what greed could do, and fear. And we want to. I guess the other moral of that story, American Made, is that you don't think people are watching you. He didn't know, so he didn't know that he was being initially watched, but here just bringing in little cigars, and then he started had to bring in machine guns and drugs. I mean, things that are really dangerous. So it just grew. It just grew. He was better off just, you know, getting put in jail for selling, bringing in the cigars. So yeah. Um, what else now I want to talk about? Um, can't really think of can't really think of anything else. Yeah, I told you about the movie, um, getting organized and everything, about getting chores done. Um, let's see. Yeah, I told you wanna go out more, and yeah, I think I really need to get into this nature, the exercise. I did walk my dogs today. It was very, it was nice. We didn't really go that far, but yeah, I made sure I dressed the layers and everything. It was very nice, really nice. Um, yeah, I can't think of anything else that I really want to just to really say, but I did mention the first part of this live stream about the spiritual advisor that I talked to, and that was very encouraging for me. It put me at ease, and again, sometimes it's you you know it if it works for you, do it. you know. So I'm glad I did it, and I think I might get the second part of the reading done. Um, but I weigh it out, and again, I could always go to another spiritual advisor. Um, yeah, so some things in life isn't what they appear to be. That things that might attach itself to you when you're young, that some things it's not you, but what's motivating the person. And yeah, you know what I forgot to say about the reading. They mentioned she asked me about um, my background, because I was telling her a little bit about myself. She was saying that in the Caribbean they have underground bases, extensive, and these underground bases of what they call extraterrestrials. And remember, late last year in 2017, that the government is thinking about slowly doing a disclosure. So the main the main major stream of population group really don't know about these underground bases. I kind of heard it before, but then she really elaborated about it, and she said that some of these extraterrestrials do not have our goodwill at hand, and that they could influence domains. And so the, I mean, things like, um, in particular, what we were addressing at this reading was about, um, what do you call it? Um, Generational incest or molestations, things like that, or rape. Now, in the Caribbean is very, very rampant. And she said by Puerto Rico, they have these really deep trenches there under the water. It's the deepest in the world. But all along there, they have these underground bases, she was saying. And with that, oh, what's the other thing? The people around Puerto Rico was mentioning that they were seeing ships, space, crafts coming out of the water, and that some of the people were being harmed. I forget exactly how she worded, but bad things were happening, and word was getting around. So I used to even live in the Caribbean for a couple of years near Puerto Rico. I was in the U.S. Virgin Islands, the island of St. Thomas, and it's a lot of violence there. It's a lot of violence in Puerto Rico too. And again, most of you know that the Caribbean was heavily in slavery. And if it dawned on me with these extraterrestrials that it is said that many of them are into traumatization, and that they feed off of the fear and the trauma. And with regard to um, what they call incest or molestation, things of that vein, that they they want to promote that because that's what they eat, so to speak. They eat off of that fear. And so slavery was like that. Slavery was about intimidation, force of will. I would imagine a lot of sexual violation that happened from generation to generation. And she was saying that even with in my family ancestry, she said that she saw that a particular person in my lineage had been, um, she was coping with things that had happened to her. And she speculated definitely she was violated, and that things that she had to do to try to. It seemed to suggest that maybe she went into the what they call the witchcraft to try to get back her power, something like that, and just other things. It sounds very weird. It sounds like a Hollywood flick, but my living in the Caribbean, the things that I saw, people's behavior, and people that I know who are from the Caribbean, just certain things seem to be prevalent. And it's not pointing a finger. I'm also pointing myself to, I come out from that ancestry. It's just some things are just prevalent because it's so concentrated. Um, yeah, so I remember also telling her, so, that we have to start praying for our, we have to pray for ourselves. We have to pray also for um, the communities that we come from. And so, yes, hey, how you doing? Who's that? I don't have my, I need my glasses to see who popped up there. Oh, it just disappeared. Yeah, your message. I couldn't read who that was, but whoever who popped up there, hello. Yeah, I'm just talking right now about this spiritual activity in the Caribbean and the um, what happens in different generations, that generational curses. Okay, let me get my glasses. Let's see. Okay, yes, I'm doing fine. Flipper, hello. Yes, I'm doing well. Thank you for writing again. I couldn't. I need my glasses to read the small print. I'm doing okay. Yes, I'm just relaxing here, and I'm talking about um, these. I talked to a spiritual advisor today. If you're just coming on board in this live stream, and yes, these spiritual activities, especially if you've lived in the Caribbean or live in Caribbean communities, that these things are territorial. That's also what she was telling me, this spiritual advisor. And a lot of things that are happening now is that some of these beings, whatever we want to call them, are territorial. And if they feel that whatever activity you're doing is getting into their turf, so to speak, that they'll attack on a spiritual level. And as you see in the Caribbean, it's rampant. Or you look at the White House in D.C., that's definitely a an activity of real negativity. Um, you when you have a lot of death and bloodshed, it just, I think, feeds into these entities or beings. And oh, so I almost lost train of thought. So what was it? What what I got out of that part is that we have to pray for our communities. I'm sorry. We have to pray for our communities. If you come, especially if you come from that type of background, like myself in the Caribbean and similar type of cultures, that we all know what's going on. We don't want to talk about it. We have to start talking about it in our communities. We can't put a head under the ground and pretend that, you know, that it's not happening, or you put a smile on your face when you go to church and then you go home and then you're being abused at home. We have to stop it. We have to also, I'm sorry, sometimes you might have an ancestor who might do something, and it might be like what we call a family curse, that when you do an activity, it has its consequences, and it could spill over into the next generation, and so on and so on. And I think that's what happened in my family, heritage, I should say. And it's affecting us. At least it's affecting me. And you want it to stop. And so, I'm sure you guys understand what I'm getting at. So pray about it. You ask for pray about it, and ask your higher power, or whatever you want to call it, to find out what what happened to cause certain problems in your family. I knew a girl. She was of Caribbean ancestry. Let's see. Hold out there. Albeit in the islands must have some connection to fear and its many effects. Yeah, I couldn't read it that fast, but yeah. Yeah, it's Obia is a reality, and yeah, to ask your to really pray. Go in a quiet place in your home. You know, um, You can even light a candle. I find like when you light a candle, it just puts your mind at peace. I like looking at the flame, in a dark room. And be honest with yourself. And you say, universe, I might have done X, Y, and Z, or maybe an ancestor, did X, Y, and Z, and you think that it might have caused certain things to happen and spill over in your life. Or this person I know, that's what I was going to say, this person I know of Caribbean ancestry, sh- her father was of Puerto Rican ancestry, and the mother was a native Hawaiian. And in her father's uh, background, generation of suicide. I kid you not. This person, tragedy followed them. And this person themselves eventually died in a tragic accident. The whole family and her children, too, were threatening, what do you call it, suicide. Yeah, a suicide spirit. And this person had a lot of some good qualities, but it's just something that was attached to them. And I feel badly for her and her children because it spilled over from generation to generation, this curse of suicide. So any of you who are watching and know of people who've done things like that, it could be something that was attached to that family because something that happened in the past. And that's what you have to dig up and find out. So I mean, I'm not no expert. I'm not like a theologian or an expert on anything, but with the session that I had today with the spiritualist, and I just feel that when things like this happen, I'm just really speaking from the heart right now rather than from the head, that you have to really become humble and in sincerity, you start praying. You said, look, universe, this is happening. Why is it happening? How do I heal this matter? And you speak it out, and you say, um, um, curse of molestation, curse of rape, curse of suicide, curse of slavery. You got to end it. And if you participate in some of those, that you have to repent it. You have to. And if possible, restitution. Restitution means to pay that person who receives that harm in some way. And it's not necessarily cash, but something to bring healing and to correct what befell someone else that got harmed from your activity or an ancestor's activity. Yeah, that's what the Caribbean should do, you know? Yeah, let me read that. Yeah. Our lives are filled with so much mystery. Unraveling can take lifetime, yes, etc. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lifetime. You know what else this spiritual advisor told me? This reading that I had. I might have mentioned at the very beginning of this live stream that she said that possibly what happened in my life, a lot of bad things happened in my life, and made no sense. But she was saying that it might have been she sees that I had a life in ancient Egypt, and something about Cleopatra. I know it sounds real fanciful. It sounds like BS, right? But take it with a grain of salt. But about principle, not so much the story, but the principle behind the story. that I was associated with something with. She said that there was more than one Cleopatra, and something about that she had a mother herself, Cleopatra, and something else. It was it was kind of hard to really understand. But the point was that during that time, uh, I had done something. I had put something on the altar that wasn't authorized, and it defiled the altar, and that I was being punished. And I think this person back then, she said, um, how is that now? There was like a love interest or something like that, and this so-called interest wanted me, and that because I must have said no or something, that this person made sure that in years to come, in other lives, um, I mean incarnations, that no one could have me, and might have this might be explaining some of the things that are happening to me regarding relationships. I don't know whether it's true. I don't know, but it's food for thought. And again, about the whole point of that is that sometimes you may do something and it's a payback time. Some people call it karma. Um, so the spiritualists had me uh, confess and to ask for forgiveness of this thing, and that I was sorry. So I did a prayer to do that. And interesting enough, I feel I felt lighter after the session. So whether it's true or not true, the point is about the principle behind what is done, and that everything really has to do with what they call energy, the releasing of energy, the acquiring of energy, that certain things represent a certain type of energy. Some call it good energy, some call it bad energy, but you want that equilibrium. And so I think by praying and asking forgiveness, whatever, it's about balancing out energies, things like that, in the principle. And so I'm all about the principle behind a subject. Now, it's not the actual tangible part that I'm really focused on. Again, it was the first time I used this spiritualist, and it does some of the things sound a little fanciful, but if something creates a positive change energetically in you, then that is the real focus behind something. So, yeah, so any of you come from a type of background like, the Caribbean, or even, what they call Latin America, um, some of the areas in the United States that, like the Southeast in particular, that it has its history, if you know what I mean. It's history with oppression, slavery, bloodshed, family curses. We have to start, we don't want to keep on. I mean, if this thing called reincarnation is true, you don't want to have to come back here. Who wants to come back here? It's the same old, same old. See a lot of pain and suffering and hunger and passions that go out of whack. So try to get it right this time. Learn the lessons, and learn how to control yourself. See, I think life is trying to provoke us. And as I mentioned earlier in this live stream, that certain headlines in the newspapers is designed to press your buttons, to get you wild up, and cause you to do something that you shouldn't be doing. And then what happens? You get fighting and all this and that, and that's what they want you to do. They want you to get wild up. And so they can make excuses and things like that, you know. It, it, I just want I just want a nice life. Because everything really is, after a while, everything is all the same. But to be around people that are positive, that make you laugh, and I have pets, play with your pets and everything. It it adds to your life. It's you know I used to be in the business world and many um, we call it industries, and I found that the more money the people made, you know, the more depressed they seem to be. And I said, wow, I've met some real characters, and I didn't understand that. I thought money's supposed to make people happy, and these people had money, and yeah, I worked in Wall Street, and I worked in the director's office. He was a disgusting person. He was not a nice person, you know. Um, and he made people who really don't make a lot of money, and they seem to be a little happier. I notice, more social. So I guess it's you have to weigh it. If you go for the money, after all, that's just it. But it eats you up alive. And then when you're real poor, you're real social, but you're hungry. So I guess, it's in between. You do what, I guess it's all about balance and trying to figure out what this whole thing called life is. And that's what the Spirit Journey channel is all about. What is life really all about? And I think we're going to learn more and more this year, I think, as this disclosure thing comes about. This disclosure about extraterrestrials. I did mention in past videos that I I saw my first. They call it TR3Bs. It's those triangles, those black triangles, spacecraft. Yeah, and I saw that last August, August 2017. And then in a meditation, I saw a white cigar. It was during meditation, and it was daylight in this meditation. It was a blue sky, and then you see what's shaped like a cigar, a white shiny cigar, and in the front of it was a red dot, like a light. And I asked the spiritualist about that. I said, "Hey, are you familiar with this?" And she was definitely familiar with the black triangle, and it, it was kind of hard to really understand the answer about the white cigar, whether she or her clients had mentioned that. But she said they're definitely what they call, what did she call it? She called it a name. She called it the corporations. She said that they're very, very wealthy corporations that have um, that they have the monies for these crafts that could go from point A to B in seconds. And she feels that my seeing that, she felt in her intuition that they wanted people to know that it was there. Because I asked, well, are these things appearing just for me to see, or what? What was her feel about it? She says, well, it it allowed itself to be seen, not necessarily just for you, but for anyone who saw it to let them know that they were in charge. And I thought it was an interesting statement. But I figured it's just as long as it stays up there and doesn't bother me. But I thought there was something. And so that's why I feel more serious about this, what they call this disclosure, after actually witnessing that with my own eyes. And then the meditation um, session I had and seeing this cigar. Have any of you ever seen that? Or, ask around. I mean, be discreet. People, ask people that you know are interested in that topic. Have any of you ever seen any unexplained type, a spacecraft that was different looking, that's not usual? Let me know. And let me know, like, what was it, at nighttime or in the daytime? Um, yeah. So yeah, I take it more seriously now. Again, I'm real new at this subject on UFOs, ETs. And I'm not like really interested in that per se. I'm more interested in why why it's being held. If we already have spacecraft that can fly to all these places, what are they really hiding? History is history. Life is life. It's like they're creating an illusion of life here, but I'm sure that people knew what was going on in the past. So why, when it recreated a new Earth society, why the knowledge of not being in space or not having anyone out in space on other planets, why is that hidden? It's like saying, oh, don't tell people that there's a country called Mexico or France or Nigeria. It exists, and it's there. What's the secret of even the Americas? Remember, in Western Europe, they were saying that the world was flat, and that they discovered America. They didn't want people to go across the Atlantic. Why didn't they want people to know that the Americas existed? You had civilization right next door. That's what I'm getting at. So it doesn't matter whether it be another planet or whether it's the Americas. It's some domain or region that they don't want you to have activity in. So it's just, again, repeating itself. So I could foresee that something, whether it be another planet, another star system, I would tend to think that, yeah, something is being done. And I think what's being done, what they're talking about now, is about what you call uh, what do you call it, human trafficking. And I did a video about that already, about human trafficking. That I think that's really what the big secret is, that people are being kidnapped. And you have many communities, and the thing is, it's so major, but the media doesn't discuss it. So how could something that's almost in plain sight be hidden from the masses? I'm sure families are stressed out and file with the police, and there are thousands and thousands of people missing, and they never turn up. And I've been watching a lot of videos that were telling the viewers that when they were young children, that rather than going to school, the bus would bring them to some other facility, and they would traumatize the children and then send them to be a slave somewhere in some remote place in the galaxy. It sounds like science fiction, doesn't it? It does. You bet it does. But it's just that more and more people are seeing the same thing. So, and these technologies, again, I saw that plane. I saw it myself with my own eyes. So, I think it's a lot of secrets out there, and they want to keep the secret to hold you in um, bondage. Yeah. So, you know, pray about it, you guys who are watching. You know, start meditating also, and maybe you will, your higher power or your God, whatever what you want to call it, will start revealing itself to you. Um, what might be going on? Who was it, maybe a week ago? Um, I mean, I used to meditate a little more a year ago, and then I kind of slacked. I think because I was getting scared. Nothing bad happened to me, but the more you know, the more accountability. And but like I think a week ago, I did like before I meditate, I ask for protection always, and then I was specific. I said I want to see this, something like, something about a particular region. And then, I saw something. I saw this, yeah, I saw this planet. I saw the moon, this, the craters, and I saw it. I saw it. Well, I believe it was the moon, because that's what I was focused on my meditation. And it just popped out of, just boom. My eyes were closed. So it's a vision that I saw with my eyes closed. And so I'm telling you guys that are watching that if you want to know about something um, that might be um, that's happening to you, or about your society, or if you're also interested in about the um, other planets and stuff like that, try it. And let me know. Let us know what you see. We all have different abilities, and just like an artist, let's say you have a picture of flowers in a vase. You get 10 people drawing and painting the same object. You're going to see it in a different way. So it's not one person's is the right one. According to what angle you see the picture. You know what I'm saying? So do it also. And see what your experiences are. I feel that I need to do this more and more, but again, with every new awareness, there's a responsibility, personal responsibility for it. How is it going to affect you? So I would also suggest that in each activity, that the prayer of protection, and that you're allowed to see what you can handle. you know um, yeah, don't ask the universe to only show you what you could tolerate, and to bring um, understanding behind what you're seeing. So yeah, so I think that's all that I want to talk about tonight, this uh, good what's that, hello Friday. And I know now it's Saturday. Well, I guess hello Saturday, early morning. And I hope you enjoyed this session with me, this live streaming. And I hope you have a happy and safe and meditative weekend. And yeah, so, enjoy it. Enjoy nature. And if you have pets like I do, enjoy your pets, enjoy your loved ones. And don't always believe everything that you see in the newspapers, the headlines, they're designed to just get you wild up and to react. Don't react, just pray. Let me see what you're saying. Okay. Like you because you question things about their how everything got started. Yes, yes. Yeah, I'm a slow reader. Yeah. Yeah, I thank you. I thank you for watching and everything. Yeah, question everything. I took things for granted growing up because I wasn't really encouraged to think. I had to live with controllers. I went to a school system that controls, and if you didn't follow along, that you were beaten. So that's why I am what I am. Yeah. Don't react, respond. That's right. That's right. That's right. You got it right on the head. Don't react, you respond. That's right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this evening and you guys made it enjoyable for me. I enjoyed doing this. And so I'm gonna, uh, it's it's gonna upload and yeah. So enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your coming week in safety. To what was that? Don't react but respond. That's right. So take care, guys. Peace and joy. Okay. Bye bye.